Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Plants vs. Zombies 2 Armaments Only. If you haven't watched the first episode, I'd highly recommend it. Armaments are involved of lob shot launching and cannon type plants for anyone who didn't know. Also about last episode, I got like just a few comments involving my mic quality being kind of bad, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. And me and my mic had a little talk about it. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. Now, seeing how this is only day 1 of World 2, the levels aren't really going to be that hard in terms of difficulty. Of course, we're mostly going to be using apple mortar and cabbage pult since those were the first 2 plants we received in the starting world. And of course, during level 1 we received the kernel pult. This plant's going to absolutely wreck this world going on out. In terms of damage, it turns out that out of all 3, Cabbage Pult does the most with 5 hits to kill a basic, Kernel Pult with 6, and Apple Mortar with a whopping 7 hits to kill a basic zombie. Like, why is the most expensive of the roster the one that deals the least amount of damage? I don't understand that. Also, the reason we use Kernel Pult is to get rid of seagull zombies. Kernel Pult is obviously going to be used in our roster quite a lot with the fact that it can stun zombies for a total of 8 seconds with butter, which is going to be really good for giant hordes such as the one on day 3. But when it comes to stunning plants, having both apple mortar and kernel pult to help slow down zombies and stun them for a certain amount of time really comes together really well. Also at the start I wanted to run a plant, but I chose to repress my primal urges. Going on to day 4, we were introduced to bucket zombies, the next level of basic zombies. I'm gonna be honest, I expected this to not be as hard, but bucket zombies kind of demolish cabbage. Yeah, so it turns out armament plants aren't really meant for taking on bucket heads with that high amount of health and the fact that they take a certain amount of time to recharge after each shot. But in the end, day 4 and day 5 went by without a hitch. Of course, we utilized more uses of the kernel pult since it can stun zombies, and that is going to be really useful. Also, does everyone remember My Singing Monsters? I just got back into it recently. I wanted to see if anyone else remembered this game. And since day 5 and day 6 are really easy, let's just go over a good little apple fact for anyone who wants to actually hear about that. Did you know apples float in water because a whopping 25% of their volume is actually air? Apples are less dense than water, making them the perfect fruit for apple popping, thus the name apple popping. Other than that, blazing through the entirety of day 6, we are introduced to the spikeweed, a plant that is really good for a zombie that we're just about to encounter, known as the barrel zombie. Wait, no, not that one. I meant this one. Since the barrel is technically considered an obstacle, we can just attack right over it using catapults. Speaking of catapults, you should go check out this dude's channel. He's doing Plants vs. Zombies with only catapults, which is originally what I was thinking of doing, but I chose not to do that in the long haul. Other than that, day 7 was a complete breeze, ending off with a victory in our favor. Day 8, on the other hand, was kind of a problem. Seeing as how there were kernel pults on the conveyor belt, based off of our rules, we had to use them and them only. And our first attempt didn't really go that well compared to how I thought. Second attempt basically went the exact same, and on our third attempt, well, I originally thought that we actually got far, until about halfway through the level where we got completely swarmed by the halfway mark. And on our 4th attempt, we actually got good RNG on the kernel pults. I was extremely happy until the gargantuars came out, which I thought was going to be a pain in the ass, but it turns out, don't really have to worry about that. Kernel pult's stunning ability completely destroys them. And finally, what I believe to be one of the hardest levels was out of the way. For day 9, I wanted to do a bit of like a little story time thing of what happened while I was editing for this video. So imagine you're me, I think a Wednesday night is when it happened, and I'll make myself the mirroring character. I've never really used Microsoft Paint, so this is like my first time ever using it on my PC. But imagine you're me editing your PVC2 video and then your dad walks and we'll make him the blue one in this scenario. Oh dear, let me. Okay. Imagine you're me and my dad. We're sitting here talking. He's talking about his YouTube channel and how he's doing better. He has 80 subscribers. I talk about my YouTube channel with my dad. And then he gets a smirk on his face. And I know my dad, and that smirk most likely means he ripped ass. So I leave the room and I close the door on him. And while I close the door, I turn my fan on. And I hear him coughing and laughing. So I choose to open the door and I just get hit with a wave of complete rotten egg ass. It was the funniest thing ever. We were laughing for like a good 5 minutes. And my sister said the next day that she heard us laughing our asses off. But other than that, day 9 was a breeze, followed by day 10 being absolutely sweet. For day 11, I actually wanted to try out the rent-a-plant feature to try and see if we can get a new armament plant, but to no avail. So after that, we just used our usual lineup and completely swept through this level. And luckily, after beating day 11, we unlocked the coconut cannon, probably one of our hardest hitting armament plants that we'll ever have, other than, of course, banana launcher. Day 12 was the coconut cannon tutorial, which we easily swept through and unlocked us the extra 25% sun from shoveling power up. Day 13 was produce sun level, which sadly made it so that we had to use sunflower in our roster, meaning that we had to lose out on another plant that we would never use in general. But other than that, the level actually was really easy. Being able to use coconut cannon definitely helped and improved our loadout a lot, as well as the fact that coconut cannon completely demolishes with its plant food power. But after day 13, we were introduced to our first last stand level of the world, allowing us to create this beautiful amalgamation of apples. With this amount of apples, you could probably make so much applesauce, you could probably feed an elementary school for like an entire month. Now that I think about it, probably not a month. But we then unlocked the 3-peater, which is basically apple mortar, but trash. Now, of course, with our rules, goodbye. After getting rid of him, we basically just used coconut cannon to help clear the main path, seeing as how this was a flower line level. Then on day 16, it was an endangered plant level, so I chose to watch an ad for Blastberry Vine. I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand the Blastberry Vine. Yeah, it costs 175 sun, yeah, it hits multiple enemies, but it does basically no damage. So I just chose to utilize Spring Bean, which completely demolishes anything on planks or in Pirate Seas in general. And I can understand why people use Spring Bean. Kinda, not really. Day 17, I chose to use the Aki, which is actually a real plant. Yeah, I didn't expect that. I had to search it up on the wiki, which was hilarious. But day 17 was a kill certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of time level, and I thought this was going to be really easy, until it was not. This level completely caught me off guard with how many imp cannons there were, seeing as how I could only deal single target damage. Then on day 18, we were given a locked-in loaded level with pea shooter and repeater. Now, as you can obviously tell, I'm obviously going to use repeater. No, I just used pea shooter the entire level. That's how easy it was. This was extremely fun to use other than armament plants. Also, another thing I noticed, when using plant food power, all the peas move at different speeds, leading to like such cool like design. I mean, like, just look at that. It looks so nice when you think about it, doesn't it? We then unlocked Spike Rock, which is our basically upgrade to Spikeweed. On day 19, it was another produce amount of sun level, so we had to utilize both the sunflower and twin sunflower. Also, what is everyone's thoughts on this world's music? Because I think it's nice. Yeah, that was some pretty good stuff. Out of all the Plants vs. Zombie worlds, my top 3 have got to be Pirate Seas at number 3, Neon Mixtape Tour at number 2, and Jurassic Marsh at number 1. I mean, you can't go wrong with the sound of a banjo. But other than that, day 20 was another produced sun level where we easily swept through it using beautiful apple mortars. Since we didn't really need the sunflowers after we got the sun needed, we just shoveled up each and every one since they were basically just taking space. And then on day 21...
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell.
I don't understand why they put so many back-to-back-to-back sun production levels. Like, it's nice being able to use coconut cannon and apple mortar, like, a lot. But I mean, like, come on, man. I wanted to play Plants vs. Zombies 2 with armaments only, not with armaments and sunflowers. We then unlocked the extra seed slot, which is actually kind of useful for later levels. And then day 22 was a last stand level, where we watch an ad for Sling Pea. And I'm just gonna say, this was so fun. I love Sling Pea. The fact that it can hit basically everything on screen and how much damage it does, it was completely beautiful. It was the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen in terms of Plants vs. Zombies. Then on day 23, we were introduced to a double level of both kill certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of time and flower line. I chose to utilize Cabbage Ball on my first attempt because I thought, you know, high damage, high reward. But it didn't really do well when it came to Coneheads. These guys just completely swept through our defense, and yeah, I wasn't very happy about that. Also, I just hit my knuckle on my desk. That actually kind of hurt. But we ran it back with Kernel Pull, and the butter stunning capabilities kind of popped off. That's all I gotta say. Then on day 24, we were introduced to another endangered plant level, this time being Spring Beans. Again, but this time we had to face off against Imp Cannons. And I'm just gonna say, these annoying little fuckers, they ruined it. They ruined my day. They made my day so annoying! You don't understand how annoying it was! You don't understand! But this time around, we chose to use the Spring Beans plant food effect, which we never really stated in the rules that we couldn't do. So I chose to take the opportunity, and I used Spring Beans plant food effect, because why the fuck not, you know? And at the end of the level, we're given the Cherry Bomb. This little bombastic fella does so much damage, but we won't be using him. Then on day 25 came the dreaded Zomboss level, and I'm gonna say this level was easy as shit. Being able to use Conveyor Belt and every plant on it was so nice. But in general, Pirate Seas, not that hard of a world. Thought it would have been harder. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. The only like actual zombies that seemed like to make it hard were probably Imp Cannon and the Parrot Zombie. But other than that, this world was easy as hell. Yeah, we're gonna have to fight Parasol Zombie at one point, but I mean, we could just use this guy for it. I mean, why would I not use Cannon in like any type of like situation like that? After beating the level, we are then given the Wild West key, which allows us to gain access to, you guessed it, the Wild West. Now, if you don't know, the Wild West involves 2 certain zombies that we're gonna have to deal with. But other than that, that's for next video. So make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.